Hi, hello, welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing some autumnal adjacent book recommendations. So these books are perfect for if you want to get that autumnal/fall vibe, regardless of what weather your country's in. And I have 10 recommendations that give me that autumn cozy vibe. I'm not saying they're all cozy books, but they all give me a similar kind of vibe. It's like the vibe of cuddling under a blanket with a hot chocolate or a hot coffee, or hot chocolate with marshmallows, and just sitting there for the evening. It's raining outside, that kind of vibe. That's what these books give me, that specific vibe. So maybe that is what you're also looking for. So my first recommendation is Law of the Wilds by Annalisa Brana. This follows a human woman in a world that has been taken over by Fae. So she grows up in a village that is effectively a prison village in a Fae Lord's land. All of the humans live they live in poverty, and they're not allowed to do much beyond supporting the Fae Lord and the other Fae people of the realm. One day, in hopes of freeing her village, or at least protecting her village, she makes a deal with the Fae Lord that she will enter their library and catalogue it all for them, as any Fae that crosses the boundary into the library dies due to an enchantment. And the Fae Lord has a belief that a human will be able to cross the threshold without dying. He is after a book in particular, but he will not tell her what the book is. Therefore, Law has the gigantuan task of sorting a library that has not been touched in, I think, like millennia, whilst looking for specific books that the Fae Lord or those around him want, but will not tell her what they are. It is there that she starts to question some of the things that she's always known to be true. I believe, if I remember correctly, they don't expect that she'll be able to read because she is a human, but she can read. So she starts looking into the books to see if she can find something that could possibly help her village, her family, and the humans as a whole. On the way, she makes friends with some of the Fae children, and she has a Fae guard who follows her everywhere, who, you know, we kind of love a little bit. It's the first book in a duology, and it was just so cozy. There's something very cozy about libraries for me, and like sorting books. So if you haven't read this yet, please pick it up. It's a fantasy YA. Next on my list is something slightly different, and this is one of those ones that it could possibly only be me that gets these vibes from it. I don't know, but it's Mexican Gothic by Silva Moreno Garcia. So Mexican Gothic follows Noemi, who has received a letter from her cousin, who is concerned that her new husband is trying to kill her. Now, Noemi and this cousin used to be very close, and once she got married, she moved away to her new husband's house, which is in a remote Mexican village. And Noemi goes to see what is happening, if her cousin is just going slightly stir crazy, or if there is some truth to her concerns. This is set, I believe it's the 1950s off the top of my head. It's the late 1940s or 1950s. So it's very much a time period when women are owned by their husbands or by the men around them. Noemi is a bit of a party girl, and she really hopes to go to university and study, and her father agrees that she can go as long as she goes to find out what's happening with her cousin first. It is very haunting. The house and the grounds are very eerie. I would say it's almost like a sentient house. Noemi is not sure who she can trust. there's only a few people at the house. They don't really have many staff. It's very isolated. So if all those sound cozy, because they kind of do to me, then this might be the one for you. I would say, out of all the books on my list, I would say please check the content warnings on this if it does sound like something you might be interested in. There are quite a few hard subjects involved, including discussions of eugenics. So if that is something that you're uncomfortable with, I would suggest not picking up this book. For me, a cozy autumnal book and dark academia, very much, they're like intersecting, they are buddies. So whilst a lot of these books I could separate and do a dark academia recommendations list, which I am planning on doing, they also just fall so perfectly into giving me that warm, cozy, back to school autumnal vibe that I'm looking for in these kind of books. So next on my list is the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. This is a YA series. It was originally a trilogy and has now extended out, and it is more, so it's like the Truly Devious trilogy, but it falls under the umbrella of the Stevie Bell mysteries. So Stevie Bell is our main character. She has just been accepted to a elite, prestigious boarding school, almost in the middle of nowhere, and all of the students that go to the school are they excel in one form or another. So her speciality topic is she is a bit of a true crime sleuth. She spends a lot of time online trying to solve cold cases, and Ellingham Academy is actually the site of a cold case. So Stevie Bell gets accepted on the basis that she is going to try and solve the case as her main school project. She gets pulled into this case that has so many secrets. There's all of these kind of intertwining storylines between her and the other students. The cold case took place in when the academy was first built in, like, I think it's the 1930s-ish. Don't quote me on that. So the Truly Devious trilogy follows the main mystery of what happened at Ellingham Academy, which was Albert Ellingham, I think that's his name, who founded it. His daughter and his wife went missing one day and nothing was ever found of them. After the trilogy, we go on to Stevie and her main friend group from Ellingham Academy. They go on to get kind of tied into cold cases in various other locations. But I would say the Truly Devious series is, like the trilogy, is perfect for that kind of warm, cozy school vibe. Next up is one that I think is a little less well known. Possibly I don't hear many people talking about it, and it is a crime. More people should pick this up, and it's called The Library of Shadows by Rachel Moore. So this follows Estee, who is accepted into a prestigious boarding school called Radcliffe Academy, Radcliffe Prep. I do enjoy a boarding school, a good boarding school. So you will see that as a common occurrence. But yeah, so she gets accepted into Radcliffe Prep. She is accepted as her father was a student there. Her father actually died when she was a baby. She didn't know anything about him. So when she finds out that she can attend because he went there, she jumps at the opportunity. Her goal is to try and find out more about her father, try and feel closer to her father, and also to discover solve the mystery of what happened to her father. Why did he run away from this school in the middle of the night? and just get some answers. She meets Mateo, who is a mysterious, handsome student that she meets in the library. She gets a student job working in the library, and she sees him there quite often. It is not long though before she realizes that he is in fact a ghost and cannot leave the library, as he cannot remember how or who killed him. From then she discovers that there are other students that are similarly stuck in the library until their murder has been solved, and she takes it upon herself to try and solve the crime of what's happening at Radcliffe Prep, why these students keep going missing. Madam by Phoebe Wynne follows a tutor at a prestigious boarding school set in the Scottish Cliffs. What's the school called? Let me just double check. Cowdenbray Hall is a school that has been operating for 150 years, and we follow Rose, who is the most recent hire at the school and the first new hire that they've had in over a decade. She is hired to be the classics teacher, and I believe the head of the English department. And she finds that everything is a very traditional. It all has its set ways. You do not question how the school is run. You do not question what happens to the students, and that perhaps the school does not have the female students' best interests at its heart. This is very much a Gothic, I would say almost noir. It's set in Scotland, so it's always raining and the wind is howling and there's storms and there's a academic mystery. It's just all of those great points. And Rose is such a great character to follow. She's one of those characters that she doesn't seem to always choose the wrong decision, which a lot of characters in books do. Yeah, I really enjoyed Rose's journey. So yeah, great book. Next on my list is The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. This is the first book in the Luminaries series. The third book comes out in November, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm actually rereading Luminaries at the moment, which was the inspiration for this video. So The Luminaries follows Winnie, who lives in Hemlock Falls, which is a small town in America that is quite unlike your usual towns, and that is because everyone that lives there is tasked with keeping the nightmares away from the general public of America. Winnie is part of the Wednesday clan, so the clans are named after the days of the week, and their job is to protect the townspeople nearby. They are settled in the middle of some woods, and the nightmare creatures come from the woods, come from the mist in the woods. Despite her family having been shunned, Winnie is determined to become a luminary, which is the special team that actually go out into the woods and take down the nightmares. However, she finds herself embroiled in a mystery that goes beyond what the nightmares are, and also makes her question those around her and who she can trust. The nightmare creatures are absolutely fantastic. It's just it gives me like, the location of it is very, like Twilight Forks, It's such a good book to get all cozy and read. I cannot explain that. It's just like how you feel when you read it. It's just perfect for this time of year. Next is the YA thriller A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. So this follows Felicity, who is returning to her prestigious boarding school, Dalloway School. She left mid-year the year before due to an incident with her best friend and roommate, or not roommate, like housemate, which slowly starts to unravel as you go along. Felicity has had some sort of mental break prior to returning to the school, and when she comes back she finds herself with all new students, and she gets kind of tied into the witchy history of the school. And it was in fact looking into the witches that drew Felicity and her girlfriend into the dark, which resulted in the death of her girlfriend, which was why Felicity left the school the year before. This is all very witchy. They're in the woods, they're looking at spells and rituals and investigating the deaths of young girls at the school hundreds of years prior to them, who were rumored to be witches. It's just, and we'll just have a quick break from witches for a moment to briefly mention Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This is the first book in the Emily Wilde series by Heather Fawcett. This is quite a well-known book, so I'm sure that it's probably come across your radar at some point. But we follow the titular Emily Wilde, who is a scholar, and she is writing the ultimate encyclopedia on fairies. She is more or less the foremost expert in fairies. However, because she is female, she finds that she does not get the respect she deserves in the scholarly field. So Emily has a academic rival. She sees him as an academic rival. He sees her as just a friend, and his name is Wendell. He is charismatic. He can get anyone to do whatever he wants, and he is unashamed of it. And Emily finds him very frustrating, but she does keep him around because she believes that he is of the Fae, and she cannot understand how no one else believes it either, or how no one else thinks that it could be true or suspects it. She's gone to this small little fishing town in Scandinavia to write about the Fae that live and operate around this area. The townspeople are not too warm to her to begin with, and Emily is quite used to that. She is very very autistic coded. She takes things at face value, and she quite struggles with a lot of social cues, which means that she finds herself without a lot of friends. And unfortunately, or fortunately, Wendell decides to join her, and he soon has the whole town wrapped around his finger. This book is, I would very much say it's a tale of two halves. So we have quite a cozy academic beginning to it, and then it goes off onto like a crazy adventure once we get the Fae involved. It's really fun. The writing may not be for everyone because it's obviously written as a almost like diary entries from it's diary entries from a scholar. So I would say give it a chance. If you don't get along with the writing, it might not be for you. It might be worth giving an audiobook a go, which was very well narrated. But yeah, I think this encompasses the kind of vibe of an autumnal night very well. Back to witches, and we have my penultimate recommendation, which is A Discovery of Witches, the first in the All Souls series by Deborah Hark. So in the first book, we follow Diana, who is a witch and an academic. She wants nothing to do with her witchy side. She refuses to partake in any spells, any sorcery. She just wants to live her life as a PhD candidate and tutor. It is while she's at the library of her school, Oxford, that she accidentally locates a manuscript which has been lost for centuries. This manuscript has the history of all of the supernatural creatures in it, and they all want to get their hands on it, as it seems that magic is losing its power across the mortal world. She draws the attention of other witches, vampires, zombies, etc. However, Matthew, who is a centuries-old vampire, is working on campus as a genealogist, and he is trying to get to the bottom of why vampires are getting weaker in their powers, and he believes it is to do with the blood. So he's very curious about what information the manuscript could hold. He takes it upon himself to protect Diana from the other supernatural creatures, and they form an unlikely friendship / alliance. And finishing off on a cute kind of fluffy graphic novel is Mooncakes by Suzanne Walker, and the illustrator is Wendy Zhu. So this is a story about Nova, who is a witch in training / she is a witch. She runs a bookshop with her 2 aunts who are also witches, and there seems to be a mystery going on in the town. One night she is wandering through the woods and she comes across a white werewolf who turns out to be Tam, her childhood best friend, who moved away when she was younger. Tam is struggling with their werewolf abilities. They are struggling with the loss of their family, I believe, and Nova and Tam rekindled their friendship and more, and they've worked together to try and solve the occult occurrences that are happening in town. It is such a feel-good book, and it's such a delight to read. So there we have it. There is 10 recommendations to give you the exact autumnal vibe that I get when I read them. So if you know what vibe I'm talking about, please let me know. I would love to know if you also get that feeling when you're reading a certain book. If you have any that you think should be on this list, please pop them down in the comments. Or if you just want to let me know that you are here but don't have anything specific to say, please drop a witchy emoji in the comments. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok, and weekly at my podcast. All the links are down below in the description, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!